enjoy what you have while you have it, man. And right now we have a special talent in boxing who is active. We have a pound for pound, rightful pound for pound, universally recognized pound for pound king who is active in the sport and who is attempting to go after legacy, who is attempting to go after greatness. And that's rare. That's a unicorn in today's boxing, in modern boxing. Look at the top 20 pound for pound. And I'm going to do a breakdown of the Canelo versus Billy Joe Saunders fight, how I thought the fight played out, how I had it scored, all that good stuff later on in a separate video. But the reason I'm doing this video is for the Canelo detractors who are still out there. And if you don't like the guy, that's fine. All that's fair if you're not a fan, all that stuff. But to not recognize greatness that's in front of you is a different story. And for the detractors, I just have some quick points. I mean, how do you not at least appreciate a pound for pound talent who is active? Look at the top 20 pound for pound. I mean, take any top 20 legitimate pound for pound rankings out there. How many of those fighters have fights scheduled? How many? Like 4 or 5. How many of those 4 or 5 have had fights in the previous 6 months? And this guy has fought in December, in February, in May. He's going to fight again in September. He's going to fight again in December. He's fighting 5 times in 12 months. Possibly, if September goes right. He's taking the top guys in his division and saying one by one, all right, I'm picking you off. Right after, I'm picking you off. Oh, I have to fight a mandatory real quick. Let me get rid of him, and then I'm picking you off. Then I'm picking you off. And I'm unifying all the belts. I'm going to put all the belts, all the straps on me after the fight. Deal with it. Who's the next top guy at the division? All right, give me him. In a state of boxing today where you have champion after champion avoiding the top contenders in his own weight class, then you have the top contenders in those weight classes avoiding the champions in that weight class. You have inactive fighter after inactive fighter after inactive fighter, and yet you have a guy in front of you right now today. And it's not only in boxing, man, it's throughout the sports world. You have so many people who just don't go for legacy anymore. They're very rare, the Tom Brady's of the world. Canelo's cut from that cloth. I'm going for it, he says. Give me the top guys. Line them up. Let me fight them. Appreciate that greatness. At least appreciate it. You don't have to like the guy. You don't have to be a fan of him. You can cheer against him, but at least appreciate the greatness. We had a top pound for pound guy for years in Mayweather who fought once a year, didn't always fight the top competition in his division. If you go back and look at the welterweight rankings, when he was Money Mayweather. And you have a lot of people on YouTube who became Mayweather fans when he was Money Mayweather. Don't remember the killer that was Pretty Boy Floyd. And look, Floyd was a great talent, but Canelo is sort of the anti-Mayweather in that I'm going to fight 3, 4, 5 times a year. I'm going to go for legacy. I'm going to line them up and knock out the top guys in my division. But, I mean, some quick points on why this guy is special. You look at the Saunders fight. He was winning rounds, all right? I had the fight even on the scorecards through 8, but he was expending so much energy in each round that he was beating Canelo. You look at all the great pound-for-pound talents in modern boxing, Floyd, Manny, Vladimir Klitschko, if you put heavyweights in the pound-for-pound rankings. When guys won rounds against those guys, they had to expend so much energy to do it. And it hurt them throughout the rounds. Look at Sugar Shane Mosley in the first 2 rounds against Mayweather. Look at Zab Judah in the first 4 or 5 rounds against Mayweather. To win rounds against those guys, you had to expend a lot of energy. It's the same thing with Canelo. That's why one of the reasons he's special. Another reason that he's special is punch placement. Anybody who has done any sort of boxing, whether it be just sparring, whether it be amateur fighting, whether it be professional fighting, knows how hard it is to land a body shot from the outside. He can do it. He can land a solar plex shot from the inside. And we all know that inside boxing is not taught in the gyms anymore. It's a lost art. The art of James Toney, the art of Pernell Whitaker, keeping your hands free on the inside. That was lost in the era of Andre Ward, Floyd Mayweather. Great fighters. Great fighters. I'm not taking anything away from them, but didn't fight on the inside. Clinched. Kept one hand free. Use elbows on the inside. Use the top of the head on the inside. Canelo keeps his hands free. Fights on the inside. Can fight on the outside. Counter punching. He was throwing that counter punch. That right uppercut counter punch as soon as Billy Joe Saunders threw that sweeping right hand. As soon as he did, it was immediate. And he set it up in the previous rounds by throwing counters straight. He was throwing counters straight, and then Billy Joe Saunders throws that sweeping right hand, and he was expecting a left hand counter from Canelo, leaned this way and caught the right uppercut. Beautiful shot. Punch placement. His punch placement is second to none in boxing today. He can throw it from the outside. He can throw body shots from the outside. He can throw uppercuts from the outside. Anybody who's done any sort of boxing knows how hard it is. You're taught not to throw those shots from the outside. And yet he's able to do it without being countered, even against taller fighters with longer reach. He can land that right hook to the liver from the outside. He can land the uppercut from the outside. He can land the uppercut from the inside. He can land a solo plex shot from the inside. The punch placement is second to none in boxing today. He's a special fighter as far as punch placement and putting together combination punches, and he's a special counter puncher as well. He can lead, he can counter, and that brings me to my next point. He's a versatile fighter. He's a versatile fighter. He can do multiple things in the ring depending on the opponent. He fights Kovalev, body shots. He fights Golovkin. I thought he lost the first Golovkin fight 7-5. He becomes more active in the second fight, and on my scorecard, he flipped it and won 7-5 in the second fight. He can adapt to whatever he has to adapt to, depending on the opponent, and he did that with Billy Joe Saunders. He came out. I was wondering why he wasn't throwing the jab and leading more throughout the fight, but he was waiting Billy Joe Saunders out, knowing he's a front runner. He was letting him expend that energy and then waiting for the big counter, 8, 9, 10. And Eddie Reynoso made the prediction, 9 or 10, we're going to get this guy out of here. And it happened a round earlier. They were waiting for that big shot. He's versatile. He can fight many different ways. And the entertainment value. It's good to have a pound-for-pound talent who is entertaining. All right? He can give the boxing purists like myself what they want, and giving you everything that I just mentioned, but at the same time, you can invite your casual friends over and still get the entertainment value of knockouts, of vicious uppercuts off of counters. And he's active. That's the main point I'm throwing out here, is he's fighting multiple times a year in an era where guys are fighting once a year and then waiting for big fights and big paydays to fall in their lap. It's big fighters who are champions who are fighting once or twice a year. And then it's even contenders. It's even guys like, say, a Charlo, who is just waiting for a Canelo fight to fall in his lap. Boo Andrade, who bum rushes Canelo's post-fight press conference and hoping that he can talk his way into a big fight. It's Caleb Plant fighting mediocre opposition once or twice a year and then hoping that the Canelo fight falls in his lap because he has a strap, which will happen. But then you have, amongst all this, you have this unicorn fighter who is fighting multiple times a year, throwback, and saying, line them up, let me get rid of them. I'm a boxer, this is what I do, I'm in the gym anyway, might as well fight, might as well get paid. Good for Canelo. Good for Canelo, man. Appreciate what you have in front of you, especially in today's boxing, especially in today's sports world where it's boring right now. It's boring because you have guys not going for legacy. You have guys not going for greatness, especially in boxing. Appreciate this guy, man. Special talent who is going for it in his era. Canelo, salute. Salute to Canelo, and more on the fight, the actual fight, on a video I'm dropping later. Peace. God bless.